I've returned to once again lose my mind talking about guitar pots, and today we're going to be looking at switch potentiometers. There are tons of cool features out there that you can put in your electric guitar, like coil splits, coil taps, series parallel switching, and polarity reversing. But one thing all of these mods require is a dedicated switch to reroute where the signal is going in your guitar circuit. Now, you could drill a hole into your guitar to add a mini toggle, but I think the simplest and most common solution is to use a switch pot, since they don't add extra clutter to your guitar's control scheme. Switch pots, as you've likely guessed, are potentiometers with various kinds of switches attached to them. Usually these pots are still used as volume and tone controls when you turn their knobs, but they also include the added functionality of controlling the attached switch, often via some vertical movement of the knob. The switch itself can be hooked up as a modifier for the volume or tone control that it's attached to, though it's often instead used for activating a completely different feature in the guitar, like coil splitting a humbucker or inverting the polarity of a pickup. The sky's the limit for what you can do with these, which is why they're fantastic for modding your guitar with. Now, there are a few different types of switch pots out there, so let's go over all of them. The most common type of switch pot is the push-pull pot. As the name suggests, you push them and you pull them. There are a few different kinds of push-pull pots on the market. The simplest I've found are these single pull, single throw ones made by CTS. These pots have two contacts on the bottom, which become connected when you pull the knob upwards, and are disconnected when the knob is pushed back into the down position. You can use SPST switches like this to split a humbucker, coil tap, or act as an on-off switch for a specific pickup. However, in all of these cases, you'll only be able to control one pickup. Now, this specific model has an audio taper, which can be found with 250K, 500K, and even 1 meg values. These will mount on inch-spec guitars with 3/8 diameter holes. They come with medium or long bushing lengths and have both solid shaft and split shaft options as well. Despite being somewhat limited, you might prefer this model because the contacts are larger and easier to solder to than some of the other models we'll look at today. Now, if you want more functionality, you'll likely need a dual pull, dual throw pot, or DPDT for short. I think this one was made by Alpha, but in any case, this is a super common design that you can find in many different brands across guitar shops and the web. The switches on these pots have these 6 contacts. When pulled up, the common contacts in the central row will connect to the contacts in the row closest to the knob. And when pushed down, they'll connect to the contacts furthest away from the knob. With this kind of switching, you can coil split or coil tap 2 pickups simultaneously. You can also invert the polarity of a pickup to get out of phase sounds when used with another pickup. You can switch between series and parallel wiring, either between 2 pickups or between 2 coils and a humbucker, and pretty much any other kind of feature you can think of. Additionally, because these are dual throw switches, you get the option to choose either the up position or the down position to activate these features. I'll leave a link to some with inch-specs made by BOURNS and some with metric-specs made by Alpha. The most premium feeling DPDT pots I've worked with are the ones made by CTS. The contacts are laid out a little bit differently, but otherwise it works pretty much the same. You could find these with an audio taper and with 250K or 500K values. I'd highly recommend these on inch-spec guitars with passive electronics. In addition to push-pull, there's also push-push pots. What's nice about these is that you don't need to grab the knob with multiple fingers to pull it. Instead, you can simply press down with a single finger or maybe the side of your palm, which can be a lot more convenient for on-the-fly switching. These pots tend to look just like push-pull pots, with the DPDT switch being laid out the same way. You can find these pots from Alpha with 250K and 500K values, with audio taper and even linear taper options for some of these. They mount to inch-spec guitars and have a split shaft. If you're not sure what to put in your guitar project, I have a whole section about compatibility in my Guitar Pots Explained video. I'll leave a link in the description and up in the corner somewhere. Now, if you want something that looks extra premium, you can try out the FENDER S-1 switch. These are found in some Fender guitars, but you can also buy them separately if you're willing to fork out about $30. These integrate an elegant push-push control right into the knob itself. Now, these have a 4PDT switch on the bottom, meaning you can switch up to 4 parts of your circuit at the same time. in addition to supporting all the features available with DPDT switching, you can now affect even more parts of your circuit on top of that. Fender often uses the S1 switch pot to open up additional pickup combinations on their guitar's selector switches. Now, because these pots have proprietary shafts, you can only really use them with a small set of knobs that Fender sells. They're medium shaft pots, so they'll mount on pickguards, control plates, and thinner wood mount surfaces. Just don't expect to use them on guitars with really thick tops. Next up, we have a type of pot that I wasn't really aware of until I started editing this video. This is the SH124 kill pot made by Shadow Electronics. This pot has a simple SPST switch on the bottom, but what makes it really unique is the fact that it's a momentary switch. Basically, it's a pot that works like a kill switch by connecting both contacts whenever you're holding it down. You can get this pot with a linear or audio taper with 25K, 250K, and 500K resistance values, meaning you can make it work on both passive and active guitars. In terms of physical compatibility, this pot uses a small 7mm bushing diameter and a relatively long 16mm bushing length, with an 18-spline split shaft to connect a knob to. This means this pot will work best on guitars with metric specs and should be placeable on thick wooden tops. But you should be able to use it on thin mounting surfaces as well, as long as you've got at least 26mm of cavity space. Finally, I want to talk about these rotary switch pots I found. I don't think these actually go in electric guitars. Apparently they might be used in some amplifiers, and this also looks like a pot that you would use in a dimmer switch. But I ordered one anyway since it's used in audio tech and technically fits in a guitar. Like some other examples, this is another pot with an SPST switch on the bottom. But unlike those examples, this switching actually happens when you turn the knob all the way down. At 0, the SPST switch turns off. You can find this pot with an audio taper and a 500K value. While these seem to accept 1/4-inch solid shaft knobs, they also seem to use the metric 8mm bushing diameter for some reason. Now, I haven't put one of these on a guitar yet, and I don't really know exactly what you would want to use one of these for. Let me know if you have any ideas how you'd use a pot like this. I'll leave a link to it with everything else I've mentioned in the description. To review, switch pots allow you to add an extra switch control to your guitar or bass project without needing to drastically change your control layout. Different kinds of switch pots can be toggled differently, whether it's push-pull, push-push, momentary push, or rotary. Finally, some types of switches, like SPST, only enable a small number of potential mods, while others, like DPDT or 4PDT, can give you much more versatility. Alright, that was a look at switch pots. I hope you found this video informative and it helps you choose the right pot for your project in the future. Were there any specific models I missed? Let me know. If you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! This thing stinks.